guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Stephanie, and today we're gonna do a random number pick because as you saw in my last video, if you've seen my last video, if you haven't, please check it out. It's pretty much me organizing my TBR, my physical TBR books, and I've organized them and they're back on the shelf and they look beautiful and nice, but there's a lot of them. There is 410 to be exact. So I thought for this video we would do a bit of a reading vlog. Pretty much, let's pick a book, let's read it, mark it off so we can go to down to 409. So I'm gonna do the random number generator that they have on Google, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put a max of 410, and we're gonna generate and see what it picks. The 2 was already on there, I didn't pick that. So once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and count from my unread books and see what number we get. I do have some that are part of a large series, so if for any reason any one of these numbers that it picks picks one of these large series, I will commit to reading the first book of that series if it lands like on a book 5 of the series, because I have like Cassandra Clare, and that's a lot of books in that series. So if it happens to land like on a long series like Cassandra Clare, then I will just go ahead and start on the first book of that series. So if that explains it. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and click generate and see what number we get. So generate, we have 339. So I'm gonna go ahead and start counting and see where that lands us. So give me a moment. 4, 5, 6, 7, 18, 31, 32, 33. Oh, guys, 339 is Rebecca Ross, Divine Rivals. I am so excited about this. I have heard nothing but good things about this, so I can't believe that this is the first book off the TBR. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this, and I will come back and give you my thoughts as soon as I start on it. Hi guys. Okay, sorry, it has been a few days. Life happened, so yeah, so we had to kind of put a stop after I picked the book, but no worries, I do have it here. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I like to take these off just to prevent my book sleeve, the jacket, from tearing or getting messed up or anything. But so I was thinking for this reading vlog that I would read these in 3 parts and kind of give you an update after each part that I read, and kind of just go over it like a little summary of each part, because it does have like a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start reading this, and I will let you know what I think about it after I read the first part. All right. Okay guys, so I read the first part of Divine Rivals, so I'm just going to go over a little bit about, I guess, my thoughts, my notes of what I read, and hopefully not give too much away. So, okay, so we start with Iris and her brother Forrest. She's meeting him like at a train station because he's leaving for war. So yeah, so that's the epilogue. And then when the first chapter starts, it's 5 months later from when that takes place. So she is working at a newspaper called Oath Gazette, and she has a rival there. She's only been there for 3 months. She meets a rival named Roman C. Kit, and at this time, Iris is 18 and Roman is 19. Quite a few things, I guess, that I wrote down. So it seems like there's a magical system kind of in place, and it talks about a magical wardrobe, or possibly, because she has this typewriter and she writes notes, and she's been writing like letters to her brother who's at war, but she doesn't know if he's receiving them because he hasn't been like reported dead, or if he's missing. So she's just writing these letters to seemingly no one in particular, until one day she gets a response back, and she's like, and that person, that mysterious person, says, well, I'm not Forrest. So we're like, who is it? She's struggling. Like, she has, unfortunately, an alcoholic mother. Her brother's at war, and apparently it's a war between gods. Like, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but it's a god's war between Enva and Daker. And Enva is a skyward goddess, and Daker is like, they're like sworn enemies apparently. And it's told that if you hear Enva's music, that it's going to attract people to join this war against Daker. So yeah, so that's what's happening currently. We learned that Roman is comes from a wealthy family, while Iris is struggling. You know, her mother unfortunately started drinking after her son Forrest went to war, and now she's obviously not dealing with it in a very healthy way. So, you know, Iris is struggling to pick up the pieces and try to provide for her and her mother. So there's moments like where she doesn't have anything to eat, you know, or her mother is like selling off things to buy, you know, alcohol. So, you know, as we see her and Roman have this little bit of rivalry in the journal, because they're like, okay, this is your last assignment. You need to write something that's gonna make me want to promote you. Her boss is called Jeb, and he's like, I need y'all to both write me whatever you want, just a remarkable piece, so that I can choose who I'm going to promote to, you know, columnist. From what I've read, chapters 1 through 14, that's part 1. So I'll be starting the second part here soon. But yeah, it's a really cute rivalry. So where we leave off in part 1, tragedy strikes, unfortunately, in Iris's world, you can say. So she decides that she needs to leave somewhere else and kind of start fresh, start new, because there's like a lot of things kind of working against her. So she feels like after this, she kind of needs to leave and start fresh. So that's where we leave off in part 1. So I'm going to keep reading part 2, and we shall see where we get with that. So this might actually take me a couple days, just because I do work full-time. I do, you know, I have my kiddos, so it is gonna be a try to get to it when I can, you know, but we're gonna read this. We're gonna get this done, because I just received new books. So those are going to be added to the TBR books that I already have. Unfortunately, I'm going to start reading the second part, and I will update you guys on it in just a bit. I want y'all to see I have a nice little neighborhood cat that likes to come by and drink from our little Okay, so I had to put my glasses on because my allergies have been acting up and it's messing with my contacts. I don't know what's happening. And I normally don't use eye drops, but I've had to start using them because I don't know what's going on. Okay guys, so I finished part 2. Sorry, lighting probably is not that great. Let's see. So I finished part 2 of Divine Rivals. So I'm just gonna go over my little notes that I wrote of what kind of happened in part 2. So so Iris leaves her home after this tragedy takes place in her life, and she decides that she wants to leave her home, leave her job. So she ends up quitting, which is obviously a big thing because she was wanting that promotion to be a columnist. So to see her kind of just throw away that dream of hers, it's kind of like, oh my gosh. But you know, as we continue the story, we see that she actually becomes what's called a war correspondent. So pretty much she's gonna be going to soldiers at the infirmary, and sometimes going to the front line, saying what's going on, like what is actually happening in the war, and you know, hopefully getting that story published. So it's her, and she meets another fellow war correspondent as she is making her way to the town. I believe it's called Avalon. Let me double check. So she's going to a place called Avalon Bluff, and meets another fellow war correspondent. Her name is well, they in the story they call her Addie, but her name's Thea. And she also discovers the typewriter that she's been using is actually the thing that is the magical element. She finds out that it's actually not the wardrobe that you know, is making these letters go to this other person. It looks like these typewriters are connected in a magical type way. So that's how she's been able to correspond with this stranger that we don't know yet, you know, who it is. Or, I mean, I know who it is, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so. Then they start staying at a B&B, and then they discover that the person that is in charge of this B&B, or is like the owner of the B&B, she warns them that there's 3 different type of sirens that you'll hear, and the most common is one where these like weird type of like creatures will like come out, terrorize the town a bit. So, but you cannot let it see you. You have to be in complete darkness. So you see them kind of hiding out when this happens. So it's kind of interesting. So that's where we left off, and they take turns in who will be going to the front lines. So it's pretty interesting because at this point she hasn't gone to the front line. So I'm pretty sure that's what we're gonna be reading next. Well, I will be reading next, unless you're gonna also be reading this book. So then we'll be reading that next. This is for part 3, and this is pretty much the end. So I mean, we got a nice, this is the remaining piece that we have left. So I'm gonna try to finish this up and give you my final thoughts, but right now it has been such a treat. Like I said, I like the enemies to lovers. I've always loved that type of trope. I love when it's slow burn, and that's what I'm kind of seeing right now. It's slow burn, and it's been great. It's been great. It's a great story. I love it so far. I do have the second book to this, so I just want to see how this ends. So I'm probably just gonna dive into the second one, honestly, if it leaves off on a good cliffhanger. If it does, then yeah, I'll be reading it quick. If not, then I'll just pick another book and we'll do another randomized TBR pick like I did last time, number generator thing. So anyways, that is all that I will say on that, and I'm gonna start on part 3. Okay.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here, I got time. It's clear to see from up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
So I just finished reading Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Guys, it was so good. So good. That part 3 was everything I ever wanted and more. Let me see what I wrote down. Okay, so we keep following Iris, and now Roman, her rival from the newspaper, from the Oath Gazette, followed her because he saw one of her articles published. I think he was just inspired by her and her bravery, and he was kind of stuck in a place where I don't think he felt so brave or felt like he could make his own decisions. So him leaving and going to find her, knowing, you know, where she was, after also joining as a war correspondent, I think that inspired him a lot, and it was beautiful. So that happened. And then, as I explained earlier, like, her and Addie were going to be taking turns and who was going to go to the front lines to report. So it was her turn in part 3. It was her turn to be in the front lines and report on what was happening. But because Roman couldn't let her go, he had to join her. He's like, if you're gonna go, I'm gonna go. We're gonna stick together. Unfortunately, things, you know, there were some unfortunate things that happened. You know, a lot of soldiers got injured. And, you know, I think it kind of changed the dynamic between them as well. Seeing the tragedy and, you know, all these things happen in a war environment, I think it just pushed them to kind of be like, okay, let's put all the cards on the table. So that's what they did, and it just ended up being so beautiful. And guys, I mean, it is a enemies to lovers, so we obviously know that they were enemies and now they're lovers. So I don't think I'm spoiling. I hope not. Beautiful romance that just blossoms between them. And yeah, well, I don't know what else to say. And the ending was spectacular. We also find out what happens to Iris's brother, so that's another like big reveal as well. The epilogue in this book was like, wow, the things that we learn in those like last couple of chapters, it was like, was not expecting that. So it was a good twist on the ending. So I am very excited. I definitely want to start the second book. I honestly don't know if this is going to be just a duology or if she's going to continue on the story. I do need to research that, but for now, that is where I'm going to leave you off at. I gave this a 5-star. This is definitely a 5-star, and I'm so happy I read it. I'm so happy that this was the first book that I got to get off my TBR, and I'm just excited to see where the second book goes, because the way it left off, my goodness, there is some things, some questions that need to be answered that are just sticking out in my mind right now and that are fresh in my mind right now. So I need to start reading that second book ASAP. So anyways, that's all for me. My next video will probably just be my wrap up for the month of February. And then hopefully we're going to do another physical book to get off my TBR. So I am going to be kind of laying low these next couple of days. I'm going to have surgery. So I don't know how functional I'll be for a couple of days at least. So I'm going to try to get these videos uploaded and edited, and hopefully possibly just scheduled to come out before this happens. So anyways, that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me along this journey, and I will see you guys next time. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, comment down below. Would love to hear your thoughts if you've also read Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I want to know all the thoughts. Also, because I don't really mention it on my channel, please make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm under Stephanie's, all one word, no hyphenated, _little library. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.